Joe Boyd, we were talking earlier, and my first coach as a player at high school was a young man by the name of Gannon Talbot. And Mr. Talbot was primarily a basketball coach from 1938 up until we closed Morehead City School and went to West Carteret. But he also coached girls basketball and baseball. And we had an incident that happened one time down in Atlantic. We were playing a high school game, Morehead against Atlantic. It was a conference game. And we were in the field. Atlantic was at bat, and a boy hit a ball which turned out to be a triple. And as he rounded first base, he didn't step on the bag. And I'm not sure he stepped on second base. But after he slid into third and was safe, Mr. Talbot come running out of the dugout hollering at the first base umpire, who was standing just behind the bag down the first base line. And back then, all the people in the county that I know of used to always whittle. They didn't carve anything, they just had a piece of cedar and they whittled. And the shavings would fall off. And the umpire was standing behind first base, and he was whittling, and he made the call. And Mr. Talbot come running out, and it was an appeal play. Mr. Umpire, he didn't step on first base. And he told the pitcher to put the ball in play and throw it over to first. Our first baseman caught the ball, stepped on the bag, and the umpire said, "Safe." And Mr. Talbot says, "What do you mean safe?" It cleared everybody in the ballpark. He missed first base. The umpire never looked up. He just kept on whittling. He says, "Coach, down here in Atlantic, we count kicking sand on the bag. Safe." And so Mr. Talbot, when the knife was pulled out and said we kicked sand on the bag, he said, "We can play that way," and went and sit down.
West corner of that field way back there. And all the boys from Atlantic, John Cochran and all them there, or Roy Cochran, and Buddy Willis, Hamilton, John Hamilton, and all of them come down. And of course they said, "Well, Reuben, go out there and pitch to us." So I went out there and pitched. And Roy told me, said, "Throw her as hard as you can." And I did. But he knocked her slam to the building, the gymnasium, and hit the door of the gymnasium.
About how far was that?
Oh, I'll bet you 550, 600 feet. And he said, "Throw it as hard as you can." I said, "I am throwing it as hard as I can." And I pitched all 4 years of baseball in high school, every game. So I thought I was good. I didn't stand a chance against them boys. And Roy and John Hamilton, they about 6 inches between the eyes. And you look at him and say, "Well, how in the world can you pitch somebody like that?" And knowing that he was supposed to be good too. So I just told somebody else to take over. I weren't pitching to these guys. But I did pitch to Roy. Roy just knocked it away. I mean, he just was so good.
My father was a commercial fisherman and boat builder, which was a combination that was very common. Everybody was one or the other or both on the island. I was the youngest of seven boys and 10 children, but I grew up a little bit. My older brothers and sisters had been dependent on my father a lot to help in the water. By the time I came along, Daddy was more of a carpenter than a fisherman, and so I wasn't involved in the water as much, and I had more time, at leisure time, to put it that way. My next door neighbor was Snowball, who was also my cousin, although more like an uncle because he was so much older than me. He was the age of my oldest brother, Ralph. And so he had a son, Manley, my age, and they lived a matter, literally, Joe, of only a few feet from me. You would measure more in feet than in yards. We could talk to each other from the bedroom windows and stuff. And Snowball had, he had been involved in baseball especially, but loved all sports. So he would involve me and Manley. And then later brother, Manley's younger brother, but especially me and Manley, who were the same age, we would wait for Snowball to come home. We'd be waiting on the porch for Snowball to come home. Before he'd go in for supper, he would throw us ground balls or throw us pop-ups or do something with us about ball before he would go in for supper. And we would play ball every day. There's a famous story, I don't know exactly what the variation would be, but it was something like this that Snowball did. Vivian would complain about how we would mess up the yard. and we would tear up the grass playing what they call a rundown. You know, when there was just three of you, then you put two with gloves and one in the middle going back and forth toward bases. And Vivian would complain about how we were tearing up the grass, and Snowball would always say, "We're not growing grass, we're growing boys." so he didn't care that we tore up the grass. And if we happened to break a window with a baseball or something like that, Snowball would try to fix it before Vivian found out about it. He would take tape or paint a strike zone on the side of a wall of a shed for us to throw things to. And before Manley or I were old enough to be able to throw over a house, he would throw fly balls over a house so that we'd have to catch sight of them coming over and then react to them. Now I don't know if that's what he was trying to teach us, but I know that's what we learned.
Now, one day you were in the stand watching the game, and the preacher, I understand, who was coaching the Straits team, he called you out of the stands because one of the second basemen was messing up. Actually, the preacher was messing up. He was playing second base. I'm sorry.
Right.
Can you tell me that story?
Yeah. Gerald Whiters was coach and manager of the team. And
The preacher on second was messing up so bad, and Gerald called you down from the stands, as I recall,
yeah,
and you had to go in to play, but you didn't have no glove. What did you do?
well, I went out on the field with no glove, and somebody said, somebody loaned me his glove. And just about everybody on the Beaufort team was offered the glove to me. The Ivy Chadwick was playing shortstop. I was playing second base.
And my understanding was you done real good. And about the second or third inning, all the Beaufort people took their gloves back. They didn't want.
Right.
They weren't going to let you have it.
Right? They took their gloves back. They said if I was going to play, I'd furnish my own glove.
Furnish your own gloves. So you learned the hard way right there. You can play, but you can't do good if you're going to borrow your gloves.
Right.
Now, well, let's move on to the next level that you had out of high school. There was one event that I had some scouts down here from Pittsburgh and Cincinnati down here one day, and we were playing Elizabeth City, and you hit a ball off of one of their best pitchers, and I had Pittsburgh measure that. Do you remember how far that was?
Joe, the best I can recollect, and I think it was right in the area of about 500 feet. I really didn't know at the time they had done it till after it was over with, but I really didn't think that the ball had really traveled that far, because I remember that day and the wind was blowing kind of out of the northerly direction, kind of blowing in toward
About
home.
20 mile an hour.
And I remember when I hit it, I said, well, she's going to hang, and I said, but I'm going to run. So I run every spark I could run, which wasn't very fast, but I remember when I ran in first, heading towards second, it was still going. I said, maybe I can get the third, but I really didn't know about the time. I don't know when it landed, but
I think you were around third.
probably somewhere in the area, but I do remember it when about halfway to second, it was still going, but I really didn't think that it was a lucky shot. It really was. Very, very lucky shot.
Did what happened after high school? Do you remember what your batting average was in your senior year?
Senior year in high school, not really. I know about, but I really don't know what it was. I'm saying between 350 and 4, maybe. I can't really remember what it was exactly. I don't know.
It was 475.
It was 475. That was high school.
475 in high school.
I can't remember.
High school was 475, and Did I take you somewhere, you and your dad?
Yeah, we went to Gastonia. They wanted me to go there and try it for the farm club. So we left school one day toward the end of the school year, and you, Dad, and I went up there, and of course they took us on the field, and they had to dress me in one of their uniforms because of the legality, probably part of it and everything, to go in there and field and play. So I dressed up, and they run you a little bit to get your speed, and they check your arm, and just different things. And then they wanted to try my bat, and I might be wrong, but I'm thinking that I do know that it was kind of toward the end of their practice when I took batting practice, and I think I hit 2 or 3 over the fence, and maybe 2 or 3 ricocheted off the fence. And I always remember that some of the players in the infield was making fun of the pitcher, because here I was up there out of high school, and I was knocking a few out there over the fence here and there. For me, I didn't care. I just wanted to play ball. But I do remember that day pretty good. I really do. And me not being the sharpest knife in the drawer, I figured for sure that probably I had a chance maybe with the Pittsburgh. Well,
Let me stop you there just a second, because I mean that night they threw 3 different pitchers.
mm-hmm,
The first one you were hitting off the wall and over the fence.
yeah.
Every pitch he threw.
I
The
remember
next,
some of them.
then they put in a different pitcher, and you were hitting, instead of hitting them off the left field and over the fence in left field, you were hitting them in center field.
Center field wall, yeah.
Center field wall, every pitch he threw almost, line drives. And the third pitcher they put in, you were hitting them at right and right center
Right center field.
the whole night.
I remember they changed two or
Every
three
pitcher they threw. They threw 3 different speed pitchers.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you were hitting them exactly where we taught you in school. You were hitting them where
And Curtis Lewis. Was
Oh,
he
yeah,
was he on that team?
Yes, he was. Curtis played center field. He played center field. I played right field. And a guy named R.J. Salter played left field. Oh, you're talking about moments of like moments. We were playing some team. I can't remember who it was, Camp Lejeune or Cherry Point or somebody. And the other team, someone hit the ball center field. And Curtis went to catch the ball, and the ball went right over the top of his glove, hit him right in the forehead, and knocked him out. Knocked him out cold in center field. Well, we all were so tickled, we all fell down laughing about it. And the guy that hit the ball, of course, went around the base and made a home run. But he did. It knocked him silly. I'm not sure that he completely knocked him out, but it knocked him so silly he couldn't make the call. We were all tickled about it.
Curtis told me about that. He told me that he told me it was one of his most embarrassing times. He
Yeah.
said the sun got his eye and he couldn't find the ball. It hit him right in the
Hit him
forehead.
right before he knocked him out, or knocked him down anyway.
I remember one day we had a game, I believe it was with Moorhead, and we were out there about 11:30 practicing. I think the game started like 1:30, and we were out there doing a little warm-up stuff. And Roy was hitting balls out there to the outfield, flies. And I remember he knocked me one. And when the ball got in about 30 feet of me, so did the sun. Got in my eyes. And the next thing I knew, I was hit in the forehead with a baseball. Went down on one knee. He knocked her just the size of an aspirin tablet, and she was a high. And I followed her right on down until she crossed the sun, and that's when I left her. I didn't know where she went till she hit me right in the forehead. I'll never forget that. And but it didn't matter what time of day you played in that outfield to Atlantic. The sun was always in your eyes. I believe you could have played at midnight and the sun would have been in your eyes. It don't matter where. The sun was always in your eyes there. I'll never forget one time we were playing and directly Coach Roy Cochran had a fit. He run out of time, called time. And he kept right on running towards right field. A screaming, Elmo, will you get that hat off your head? And everybody looked, and Elmo had one of those red hats on. You remember seeing those red hats he used to wear in the sun? Had a real long brim on it, was some kind of green opaque stuff that shaded your eyes. It had like mosquito netting in it. You remember those hats? The brim on it was about 10 inches long. He had one of them on to shade his eyes from the sun. and of course Roy Cochran finally got to him and he took it off. Elmo took the hat off. I think it kind of embarrassed Elmo because there was a pretty good crowd out there watching the ball game. But anyway, Elmo pulled that. I'll never forget. Elmo pulled that hat off, threw it on the ground, and stomped it with both feet with those spikes on for about 5 minutes. Yeah, I guess you can't. When you're playing an official game, you got to have the official uniform on, hat and everything. You can't just pick something up off the street and wear it. But I'll never forget that time.
Unusual things about my baseball career at Morgan City High School was we were playing Newport. And in the spring, nice spring day, and we were over there in Newport, and I hit a ball out to left field. And the left fielder, he went back, chasing back, and there was a pipe out in left field, about 6 inches in diameter, kind of angled in towards home plate. And that ball went a hole in one, right down that pipe, and that was a cesspool. And George Thomas never let me live that down. He called me Cesspool Brown from then on. But I got a home run out of it. And I don't know if anybody else in this county has ever hit one, a hole in one down a cesspool and got a home run out of it.
Stuff and he's done.
Now, do you want to know who had the most fun playing baseball? That Joe Boy, that boy of Jim Miller's boy.
Jim Miller boy, Joe Boy Willis.
They said Joe Boy Willis
Yeah, I
had the
can
most
have
fun.
fun. I still have fun even though I can't play. I still have fun thinking about it.
Hey, the rule book says you play ball. You don't work at it.
That's right. Don't worry.